Children of Timaeus. That's what I want to share with you this morning. Children of Timaeus. Every time he opened his eyes, it was still dark. Every time he opened his eyes, every time, it was still dark. Not because it was the wee hours of the morning and he had a high-powered job that he had to get up at 4 in the morning to get to, but because his eyes didn't work. Something between his eyelids and the seeing center of his brain was disconnected, or his eyeballs were broken. We don't know what the problem was. We just know that every time he opened up his eyes, no matter what day of the week it was, no matter what time of day it was, no matter where he was or who he was with or what he was doing, every single time he opened his eyes, it was still dark. And so every day he would get up and put on his daddy's treasured cloak and shuffle his way down to a spot on the side of the road. And he'd plant himself there because the only thing he was fit for was to beg. And he'd sit there. Now, you know, the Middle East is not a lush environment. And so he's sitting there on the side of the road, and the road is dusty. And so he's sitting there in this cloak. People are walking by all day long. He's on a road that was a major road going through a trade route, a business, commerce route, and he's sitting on the side of the street. And people are coming and going all day long, transacting their business, handling what they need to handle, going to and from work, going to and from visiting family. They're going wherever it is people who can see go. And there he's sitting by the side of the dusty road, hot. Kind of like what I hear about Austin. Glad I don't live down here. So y'all should all be able to picture this brother sitting by the side of the hot, dusty road. Y'all ain't had water since when? Sitting by the side of a hot, dusty, dry road, cloaked in his daddy's favorite cloak. Drenched in dust, he lick his lips, his tongue come up with mud. Dust in his eyes, dust all in his hair. Every day, sitting in the dark, drenched in dust, while people go by, to and fro. All the major happenings in town come by that road. And so one day the text says Jesus came to Jericho. Period. And then there's a space in the text, and then there's a capital letter because another sentence starts. They came to Jericho, period, space. As Jesus and his disciples, together with a large crowd, were leaving the city. Wait a minute, what happened? They just got there. They came to Jericho, then they're leaving Jericho. There's something, what happened between the period and the capital letter. Jesus came to Jericho. Something happened. Jesus did something. Jesus stayed. Jesus did something, because by the time that period gets typed and the space happens and the capital letter for the next sentence is called for, there's a large crowd that is gathered. And crowds don't just gather for nothing, except in them mob things people get together to do. You know, y'all know what I'm talking about? It wasn't one of them. They didn't have texting and cell phones back then. So Jesus comes in after that period and does something, and people hear about it, and people see it, and people want to be a part of it. That's why you're here. You're here in the gap between the period and the capital letter. And everybody don't know what Jesus did to you to make you show up here at 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning. It ain't in the text, but you know why you in the crowd this morning. So something happens in that town. Jesus was fresh off of feeding 5,000 off of a cheese sandwich. Fresh off of making deaf mute folks start singing and talking, telling the story. Fresh off of healing people. Fresh off of forgiving sins. And so he comes into town and people are like, who that? That's Jesus of Nazareth, don't you know? And so they gather, and Jesus must have worked something. Jesus must have did something. Jesus must have said something. And so there's this crowd that comes, and they're making their way on this dirty, hot Jericho road, where this man's sitting there by the side of the road getting drenched in dust, huddled up under his daddy's treasured cloak. And every time he opens his eyes, it's still dark. But he can hear. He hears the feet. He hears the murmuring. He hears the grapevine. Who that? That's Jesus. Jesus of Nazareth. You know Bubba and them used to be all out there in sin. But they went and heard Jesus preach. Now they acting right. Got a consecrated heart. Who that? That Jesus of Nazareth. You know, I used to have a little bit of Arthur. Now I'm all right. Who that? That's Jesus of Nazareth. You know I used to be stingy. But now I just feel like going and giving tithes and offerings down at the synagogue. Who that? Jesus, and he's sitting there with dust falling off his hair, dirtying up his daddy's favorite cloak, and he hears that it's Jesus of Nazareth. Who is he? It's Timaeus, and that ain't his name. That's not his name. That's his family position. Timaeus means son of Timaeus. Just like if your last name Johnson, that really wasn't a name. It was just telling somebody that whoever was born before was the son of John, John's son. Well, in Hebrew, they do things backwards from us. It ain't Timaeus Bar, it's Timaeus, son of Timaeus. This man's sitting by the side of the road getting dusty, huddled up under a cloak, and we don't even know what his name is. All we know is his daddy's name. His daddy's name is Timaeus. Who's Timaeus? I don't know. But Timaeus means honorable. Timaeus means highly valued. So here's the son of somebody who was highly valued, sitting in dirt by the side of the road, eyes dark as tar, can't see nothing when he opens them, and all he has left of his daddy is a dusty cloak. Son of Timaeus, sitting in the dark. Every time he opened his eyes, it was still dark. There's children of Timaeus in the house tonight. You are the child of someone highly favored. You are the child of someone honorable. But every time you open your eyes, it's still dark. It's still dark because you got raped. It's still dark because you're addicted. It's still dark because you got beat. It's still dark because you're trying and failing over and over and over again. It's still dark because your kids are out in that street and you're in here praying for them. It's still dark because when you go home this afternoon, you don't want to go home this afternoon because home ain't a place you want to be. It's still dark because there's pain racking your body and you come to church and you smile and you say good morning, but don't nobody know the trouble you've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. It's still dark. Every time you open your eyes, It's still dark. You come here and you hear about Jesus of Nazareth, and there's a big old crowd following him through town, but you're sitting by the side of your dusty road, cloaked in your daddy's favorite cloak, and there's dust collecting all over you, and every time you open your eyes, it's still dark. Children of Timaeus in the house. So he's sitting there, you're sitting there, you're sitting here, and you hear that Jesus is coming by. Who that? Jesus of Nazareth. And something in you, gift of the Holy Ghost, knows that if Jesus is coming by, it ain't just some prophet. It ain't just some good teacher. It ain't just somebody that you ought to show up here and say nice things about. Something in you came here this morning because you know that Jesus got what you need to make the lights go on when you open your eyes. So you do like Timaeus, and you start hollering, "Son of David! Have mercy on me! Son of David! Have mercy on me! Son of..." Shut up, Bartimaeus. What's wrong with you, boy? Quiet. Shut up. It don't take all that. Shut up. Why are you always over at that church? Shut up. Stop praising so hard. Shut up. You don't need to go to that service. Shut up. You don't need to go to Bible study. Son of David, have mercy on me. Son of David. Quiet. You don't need to hear that mess. But there's something about being the child of somebody who's highly valued. You can't shut me up. Son of David! Have mercy on me! And if you holler and don't stop, watch what happens. Jesus coming up the road. Mobs of people around him running their mouth, shuffling in the dirt, kicking up dust. And what does he do? He stops. On his way on a mission to Jerusalem, told his disciples in the earlier part of the chapter, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going, this is what's going to happen. He's moving with purpose. But Jesus has a way of stopping in his tracks for folks nobody else wants to give the time of day. On his way to Jairus' house, big old important Jairus, ruler of the temple, and some woman bleeding for 12 years comes by and touches the hem of his garment. And what does Jesus do? No, he stops in his tracks for somebody wasn't supposed to be touching him, somebody nobody else wanted to touch, somebody unworthy, not worth it. Jesus stops in his tracks and he shuts the haters up. Call him. up, haters. Call him. Tell him.
You've been watching a broadcast segment from Greater Mount Zion Baptist Church. We're located at 1801 Pennsylvania Avenue in Austin, Texas, zip code 78702. For more information about our GMZ ministry and activities, please visit our website, www.gmzaustin.org. Thank you for watching Greater Mount Zion Baptist Church, where we are building greater relationships. We would love to serve you.